definitely want to extend my appreciation to Maryland, Washington, Indiana, other states, because as the previous speaker commented, this is a whole government, really is a whole community response to cyber threats and the cyber attack. And we wouldn't be where we are if it wasn't for the help of our other guard organizations and national labs, which include Lawrence Livermore, which is our favorite. So, so let me start a little bit by just explaining California. So we are now the 6th largest economy in the world. We surpassed France 2 days ago. We have a population of about 40 million people. That population is going to grow to 50 million by the year 2050. So that's more than 10% of the U.S. population in one state. Our infrastructure, like most of the nation, is old and crickety and needs updating. We estimate there's probably $500 billion of maintenance, repair, and modernization that needs to be done in our state alone. So, and that's probably pretty common throughout the nation. And not something to brag about, but we're probably the most targeted for cybercrime. A lot of the high-profile cyber incidents that have occurred recently, with companies losing tens of millions of dollars a year in revenue based on crimes, some committed, city away, a state away, a nation away. So the impact of cyber is huge. First of all, it's unlike anything else that we deal with. If you look at earthquakes, wildfires, hurricanes, those are all situational disasters. They happen once per year, once per month, once per epoch. Cyber is steady state. It is an enduring crisis, and it requires resources to make sure that we're always ready to respond. Those other things, a wildfire, we have one of the largest wildfires in California right now in Los Angeles. It takes hours and days for those fires to evolve that way. A cyber incident evolves rapidly within milliseconds. So the challenges of cyber really require a totally different approach. If you look at, describe the impact on industry, if you look at what would be the impact of shutting down the Los Angeles International Airport for a day, that's probably about $150 million worth of lost revenue based on that. If you shut down one of our seaports, that goes up to $500 or $600 million. Shut down one section of the power grid in one of our 2 largest providers in the state, and you're exceeding $1 billion per day of adverse economic impact. So again, the crisis is very, very severe. In one of those service providers may have 42,000 switches and or substations, all of which are remotely located, and they're unmanned. So part of what we've learned recently is that when we support these agencies, it's not about putting warfighters on their keyboards. It's about filling gaps. It's about how to close the loop so that we can recover the grid much faster than was possible before. Let's talk about the 4 questions that were posed to me in the email. What developments, conditions would ensure the National Guard's success and in this work and are most essential? I think the first thing that should happen is that we need to grow our cyber force. And beginning with our cyber protection teams. California is one of the first states to have a cyber protection team in its Army National Guard. We have cyber operations squadrons in the Air National Guard. Every state needs to have these resources. We need to grow those, we need to grow them rapidly. And in large states that have distributed population centers, we need more than one. We need to have sustained support for exercises. Most of the great lessons learned that we've gained over the past couple of years have come through our interactions in national level exercises such as CyberGuard, Cyber Patriot, working with Ardent Sentry, exercises sponsored by North Command. We identified one of our key lessons learned in the Cyber Command exercise was the value of the dual status commander in the cyber realm, because a dual status commander can lead forces on both the Title 10 and a Title 32 side where the National Guard forces are prevalent. The Stafford Act, very key. So for those unfamiliar, the Stafford Act allows for the private industry owners and operators of the critical infrastructure to request support through the state, through the federal government. That's been a key tool that we've been exercising. We need to preserve that and maybe even expand on it. Because right now, cyber, just like most other incidents, they're reactionary. We're in a reactionary posture. We need to get to be more proactive. And proactive means that we need to be anticipating and coordinating before things happen, not afterwards. In that respect, I think one of the most important things we could be doing, as one of the previous speakers addressed, was information sharing. We're not sharing enough information. We're not sharing it fast enough. And it needs to be something that's distributed across all sectors, industry, government, academia, so that we can be more responsive to the evolving threats today. How can power utilities and the regulators most effectively work with the Guard in this role? Three key things there. One is participate. We've had tens of lessons learned and exercises we've done with Southern California Edison. We took them to CyberGuard with us, and we participated in Southern California Edison sponsored exercises in the state. It's a model that we're replicating with the other utility providers, and it's helped identify things such as how do we respond to million-volt lines which transit rough terrain that is inaccessible to the utility in inclement weather, but maybe not inaccessible to the National Guard. Or how can we, if there's a natural disaster, such as an earthquake, and it disrupts their ability to get out to these remote substations, how can we fill that gap? So all of these lessons we've identified through working together and cross-telling. Communications. The National Guard, if anything, part of our resiliency is in our communications capabilities, and we bring those to bear not just for the utility infrastructure, but for all key industries in the state. And really the most valuable one is to recognize that really no two utilities are alike. One of the truths in cyber, the military would like things to be uniform, but you get outside the military, nothing's uniform. So you can't respond to a network that you're unfamiliar with, and we have to find ways through doing vulnerability assessments, intrusion detection, other ways of getting on site, learning about the networks before we have to respond to them. In closing up, which strategies can best ensure the Guard personnel have sufficient expertise and resources? Well, first of all, one of the strengths of the reserve component is that we bring expertise in from the civilian sector. Cyber, unlike any other area, the fight every day in cyber is being waged on the civilian front, not with the military. So companies represented in here are fighting those threats every day, and they're on the front lines, and they have a lot of great knowledge to share. We leverage that experience through our reserve component. I mentioned the fact that this is an enduring mission, but more importantly, it's one that requires all facets of government to utilize. Cyber is a multi-domain mission. The physical assets may be under control of one entity. The network may be under control of a separate one. And the jurisdictional authorities might be under a third. You can't explore those things in real time. You can only flesh those out through exercises and prior planning. So finally, I just want to conclude by reasserting one of the key things is that we can't build this cyber protection capacity fast enough. Certainly the National Guard is on the front lines of this, and certainly the population centers where that do not have this capability would be my highest priority, followed by making sure that every state has it. Then we'll have the depth of force to be able to support each other regionally, nationally, and beyond. So with that, I'll thank you, and thanks again to the Lexington Institute for having me today.